Just last month, during the week between Saturday, July 17th and Friday, July 23rd, the Gun Violence Archive tracked 1,018 shooting incidents, which actually bore down to mean one American citizen was shot every 10 minutes, every day, for a whole entire week. Thus, the Living Experiment in Nonviolence Outreach Initiative is a grassroots, ground level think tank, idea incubator, and town hall format that invites individual participants, neighborhood block clubs, after school social groups, and small private prayer circles to voluntarily link into the carefully planned experimental effort to energetically charge their home, school, neighborhood, and workplace environments with an overflowing abundance of altruistic love energy. Therefore, the organizational mandate of the Living Experiment in Nonviolence seeks to explore, one, the furthest extreme limits of just exactly how healthy the human body is able to become, along with two, how much joyful happiness the heart is able to consciously generate from within, as well as three, just exactly what are the farthest extreme limits of loving kindness human beings are capable of expressing towards one another. The organizational definition of health is drawn from the Constitution of the World Health Organization, which states that health is the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. But the Living Experiment of Nonviolence has drawn from the health model from native cultures, the most ancient native cultures on the planet, to expand that model to say that health is a state of complete physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Therefore, this discussion will open between Mr. John Sentamu, who is from Uganda, who runs the Good Shepherd Primary School in the nation of Uganda in Africa. The discussion will be led by Jacqueline Ward, who is a private business owner in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and a community activist, longtime community activist, who's a leading member of the Living Experiment in Nonviolence. And finally, Zachary Johnson, who's a retired machine operator and factory worker, who's also the author of The Past and Future Shadow History of the United States. The discussion will be framed around the long-range vision of the Living Experiment in Nonviolence. It contains four primary elements: prayer and meditation, interfaith services, media outreach, and active interaction with neighborhood block clubs and schools. In addition to forming a social media support network that hopefully will boil down to a carefully measured golden ratio of loving influence that will ultimately result in a drastic reduction of interpersonal violent incidents. So the discussion begins, it actually lasts about 45 minutes.
I'm happy to have you all, and thank you so much for this preparation. I think time is now to start accepting that living with violence is not having any space anywhere, because violence doesn't breed peace. but it just breeds agony, pain, and we need to start working it out today. So as Good Shepherd Primary School, we do believe when we start at this youngest stage, we have no doubt that these children are going to grow as ambassadors of non-violence living. They will be representatives. They will be the faces of non-violence living. We needed to let them know what brings violence, how can we do away with violence, and then how can a non-violent person live? And how can that non-violent person help somebody who is violent do away with the vice of violence and then becomes non-violent? We needed to speak boldly in broad daylight about violence. If we don't do it, we are letting lives go into waste, and the world will judge us as people who had the vision but never worked anything other than speaking about it in our minds. But I'm happy that the living experiment is now the option against violence and a route, a path to non-violence living through sharing the same with communities, with children to start with. That's how Good Shepherd got connected to this, because we wanted to be the role model, the pilot project, to show the world that it is possible to equip the children with the message of non-violence, and they spread it further, and it makes a change. I'm happy to let you know that there is a center for youth. That's where I am right now, that is very much interested in being part of this, because it is handling youth ages of 14 and above. And they're like, wow, this is where we want to be. We want to be ambassadors of this as well. So with the time, we'll be bringing them on board, because this is also a center that is under me, under my supervision. So I feel happy that ladies like Jacqueline, men like Zachary and Reverend Jane, and others are more than ready to make sure that we do our best to create an environment that is violence-free and to create more ambassadors of violence-free living. How can it impact our health? How can it impact our whole social fabric as human beings? We shouldn't be seen as agents of violence, but agents of non-violence. We can help those who are victims of violence, who are agents of violence, to change their music, to change their mindset, to be agents of non-violence by accepting that other than violence-free living, the rest is not compatible with mankind. So I'm so happy and privileged to be working with these gallant sons and daughters of the soil, of the earth, make sure that we prepare the next generation with peace. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Zachary, do you want to add in any other discussion based on our international partnership and talk about, you know, where we are going from here? Before you go there, though, we are live on Facebook. I've shared it with a couple of my groups, my friends. I saw my good friend Brenda is what we call her, watching, who I hope to join us in the future. Her son, I forgot his age, and Bren, you could let me know. He was a victim of gun violence recently, less than a couple of years ago, and my heart goes out to her. I have many friends and associates whose sons, I don't know anyone with a daughter, I don't think, but whose sons, even my own cousin, my sister in Chicago, you know, have been victims of gun violence and lost their children. And we've got to do something different, because what we're doing now might be slow running and it's not working. So I wanted to give a shout out to Bren and ask her to join us one day in this conversation and talk about some of the things that she would like to do related to the fact that her precious son was killed in a violent way with gun violence. So Zachary, what about our international partnership? One of our partners, Reverend Gene, is not with us, but he is also part of this conversation. He's traveling right now. Tell us how you see the community interacting with us and the project itself, because we have some really cool things coming up in the future.
Well, let me start from a very personal level. It was around a little over a year ago that I lost my little brother suddenly, unexpectedly. And it was a particularly difficult loss because we hadn't been on the best of terms. And the thing about that is when people leave suddenly, all the things you wanted to say, you're not able to say it anymore. And that makes the mourning process, the grieving process, just that much more difficult, because you're fighting with the idea that I may not have done everything I could have done. And just about the time that my brother left, it had been a year, John came into our life. And he has filled a very important part for me at a personal level, because he's helped me heal and see that there's more to, that the past has its purpose, has its place. Everything that happens for a reason. And now we have this wonderful opportunity to share with a school of young people in Africa. And John told me when in our first conversation, I asked him, what did he think? We showed him a video and I asked him, what did he think? And he said, first words out of his mouth was, we have to start when they're very young. And we've been working to do that ever since. And in the last month, 6 weeks, we've made tremendous progress towards being able to accomplish that goal. So I could not possibly be happier or more content. We've not perfect. This is not a perfect process. It's not an easy process. We're all learning as we go along, and we're all committed to seeing this through to the end, to its highest possibility. And let me speak to Jacqueline's friend. One of the things that's going to come out of the training that we do with the Good Shepherd Primary School in Uganda is we're going to develop a healing circle right here in America, in a building that Jacqueline is the manager of. Our target group will be people who've lost dear loved ones to violence. We believe that there are things that can be done therapeutically that can help the healing process. We're all trying to heal from life's wounds. And we want to invite you to join us in prayer. One of the things that makes us not only scientific, but extra scientific is because we believe in prayer. We believe prayer is going to be part of our therapeutic process. And at the worst, we'll all feel better because we've joined, reached for something higher.
That's awesome. And I'm multitasking because I'm on I have a nonprofit collaborative group page, and I shared this particular live with that group. And that's where Brenda is, Bren Hines, what we call her, my sister in the struggle, my sister in community, my sister in healing. And she just said that she would love to be a part of the healing circle. and she concur around prayer. She's a God-filled woman, and you know, I've had siblings who's lost their children, who passed away, and I cannot imagine people losing their seeds, their children, and suddenly in violence. So we want that circle to be an opportunity to heal in the highest form of love and support for each other. So thanks, Brenda, for checking in and participating. And we're going to do a Zoom where we'll invite you in to be on the panel as well. I mentioned our good friend, Reverend Jean, who's not on the call today, but he also, I don't know, Zach, if you can talk a little bit about his community and what he does, but it's all in divine order that we've gotten together to talk about this. We know that there's violence. We're not going to cure this overnight. We know there are wars and interpersonal and even international conflict with each other, but we decided that we're going to be the ones who put this out there. Now, again, Zachary has been talking about this for as long as I've known him, a couple of decades. And our good friend John said the only way to get started is to start. And that's something I'm going to use on a regular basis when I'm speaking. We get started, we just got to get started. We can't wait for the Calvary. We are the Calvary. And we're going to do what we can in our lifetime and hopefully pass it down to our kids, our neighbors, our friends, the young people, and let them be also part of this mission of healing and nonviolence. I'm not trying to reach the world at this point about changing their minds about violence. I have a very good friend who I hear talk a lot, and they always talk about, we'll never cure violence. I don't care about curing violence. I'm like, what the heck? I mean, how am I even friends with this individual? But I'm feeling like they don't have any alternatives to think that we can't cure violence. It may not have global impact immediately, but we have to get started. So Zach or John, anything you guys want to add into that conversation?
Well, one of the things that we've learned in these decades is that this subject it falls under the parameters of science. If you apply scientific method to any problem, when I first got into social work back in the 90s, 93, 94, 95, they would coin the phrase that violence is a public health issue. And they were saying that if we approach violence the same way they approach smallpox and all other childhood illnesses that children used to die from here in the United States, they have been eradicated because they've used the public health method to eradicate violence. Public health has reduced smoking in this country and cut it in half. It's reduced automobile accidents by making people wear seatbelts. And we're saying we can take some of the same techniques that worked before and apply that to reducing violence in our communities. We take what's worked before. We're not dreamers. We're talking about doing what makes sense. What is the logical next step?
Zachary, I'm glad you mentioned that. And though I did not forget that they had deemed violence as a public health issue back when we started our work together in the community, it was in the back of my mind sitting there because we have all of these other issues that come up. They've deemed poverty as a public health issue. They've deemed racism as a public health issue. And we need to remind ourselves that violence is also a public health issue. And I appreciate you reminding us about the scientific, data-driven process that we'll be implementing with this particular project, the Living Experiment in Nonviolence. We have to start. John, do you want to add anything to that conversation?
Yeah, about the healing circles and having violence as a public health issue, I totally agree. And violence is a dangerous public health issue that needs the most urgent attention it deserves, because for it puts a full stop to people's living, it injures others, it breaks hearts of others. So it has a lot of side effects compared to poverty, racism, because this can be emotional, physical, and at the end of the day, so many people will end up affected. If my dad is affected, or my uncle is affected by violence, that violence is going to affect me. It's going to affect my brother, my sister, my aunt, any other person within my circle of living. So having healing circles is going to be a gradual process, but a very strategic approach that is going to provide an environment that is very unjudgmental, but solution-based to healing. And whoever would love to be part of the healing, it's an open check to join any existing, to join us so that we can be the openers of doors, of minds to others who feel they deserve to hear. Nobody that has been hurt, nobody has been a victim of violence that it doesn't need healing. Nobody has had a person who has been a victim of violence that do not need healing. Whoever has faced healing indirectly or directly needs healing. The solution, healing circles, which are going to provide holistic approach towards healing. So whoever is ready, interested in healing, as any human being like should be, because once you are hurt, then you need the healing, whether you like it or not. So healing circle, we are starting small, but sure and steady and ready to grow and ready to be agents of healing. I love what these people are working out. What is being worked out is going to be a model way of healing. So whoever can join, whoever needs to be an agent of healing, it's high time you connect. Let us start now, then tomorrow we'll justify our beginning. Thank you so much.
Wow, that's powerful stuff, Brother John. I really appreciate your insight and the fact that we're talking the same language. You're across the world in Uganda, on the motherland, and we're talking the same language. Violence is violence, and it also is a gift that keeps on giving if we don't nip it in the bud. So Zachary, talk to us a little bit about what you always tell us related to the healing circle, being able to tap into individuals and how the violence affects many, many other family members. I think you even have a number for it. John alluded to it. And then we're going to go into some of the things that we're hoping to accomplish going forward. But can you talk a little bit about the connection of when somebody is a victim of violence, how it affects their whole circle and the community, but specifically their close circle?
Well, speaking of connection, I'm sitting here awe-inspired, looking at that beautiful blue sky above John's head. And the motherland and the homeland, that one day we hope to walk under that same sky with them, face to
Absolutely.
face. That is our dream.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The hard science says that for every homicide that's committed, there are 8 people who are directly affected emotionally, mentally, financially, and of course, spiritually. And so what will grow out of the training that we're going to do with the children at the Good Shepherd School is we're going to take what we learn out of that and apply that to our healing circle here. Because we've also learned that love is a power and a force that we can learn to work with.
Yep.
Love is contagious.
Yep.
Love gets stronger. Most energy, when it gets involved, dissipates. Love,
Yeah.
every time love is set in motion, it gets stronger and stronger. If you think I'm wrong, think about older couples that have been together a long time. They're so bound together that when one goes, we usually know the other one's going to go too. That's how deep the binds of love act in our lives. So we're students of love. We're not going to study pathology. We're not going to study racism or any of those negative outcomes that are actually just symptoms of the only problem that exists. Everything that's wrong with the world comes from not being in tune with the healing power of love.
I totally agree. Just as some of the negative things you mentioned can be infectious, why not love? Why don't we decide that we will use that power and energy of love as a way to connect? This project, Nonviolence, America Heals, all of those things is grounded in that fact that love conquers all. Doesn't mean we won't have disagreements, arguments, or whatever. We're human beings. We're not going to stop being human. But we know that if we stay in tune to what you said, Zachary, about the healing power of love and stay in that space, it doesn't matter if we, have a different political or social or personal disagreement with someone, even people we consider our enemies, we still know that love will fix that. Love will conquer that. And I think that what we're saying to everyone who's on the live stream currently, or who will go back and look at this, and please share it. If you're with us now and you're watching, share this information. Go to the America Heals Facebook page and the Living Experiment group discussion page and share this information. Think about what we're saying. Talk about it with your friends and family. So we're going to use techniques grounded in love and that powerful space that Zach Johnson talked about. And we're going to do some things that connect us to internalizing love within ourselves, our friends, our family, our neighbors. And we're going to ask people to do that work. It's not going to be a simple, simple thing, because if it was simple, we'd all have done it and been doing it. This is a process of learning and growing through the path of the living experiment. And John, jump in whenever you feel like, because you're going to be working with us at your school with young people, which is exciting. I already told my team, my partners here, that I'm so interested in adults and families and how we deal with the adult part of this process. But I'm hoping that Zach, if you can, if we're in the space now for you to say a little bit about what are some of the activities? I know we're going to be using the Good Shepherd School as our model to start on certain things, but are there any certain activities that you see us starting on a minor scale to just get us going? Is there anything you want to add to that?
I do. We attended a meeting Thursday night. There's a community fund that helps small startups like ours set up projects. And it occurred to me that one of the things we might want to do is have a contest, a musical contest, where people can use their skills to use music as a tool. They can pay a small fee to join the contest, make an MP4 video or whatever they want to use, and use that. We'll offer up prize money to the group that has the most polished presentation, has the best presentation, but the theme will be around peace. We want to have a peace contest where people will be using the power of music to reinforce our message. And that's how you're going to get the community talking about nonviolence. That's how you get it on the table.
That's awesome. I am.
Actually,
Go ahead, John.
on top of music, I think Zachary, remember when we're suggesting the approach, we also said that football, soccer, sports, using sports where people are going to be getting together. Before any sport is played, the message of non-violence is shared first. After the match, when there is a break, a message of non-violence is shared. Having movies that are spreading the message against non-violence, organizing the community meetings, people come, we set movies, we play the movies so that people can see the impact of violence and then the reason why we must get rid of it. I think those are also some of the ideas we needed to further discuss and see how best we can use the most loved sports element and integrate it into our non-violence campaign and see how it can also help in spreading the message.
Thank you for that, John. And that's out of the box thinking. You know, some people say, oh yeah, I thought of that, or I could have thought of that, but that's why we need you guys, your opinion. We need those of you who are living with us now, or will look at this later. You have some ideas. That is part of the discussion that we want to have. The A Living Experiment on Nonviolence is a discussion group, and we encourage you to go to that page and put up what you feel could be an opportunity. I don't remember us having these kind of nonviolence, integrated, what do you call it when you invite everybody to the table? I don't remember us having that conversation. When I think about some of the programs that are out there now that has been deemed nonviolence programs, it's either one group or another, or somebody making the decision for someone else, which I totally do not believe in. But if we have a community conversation, an international conversation, I can't wait to see John's students having this conversation in the classroom, or however way they'll communicate with us on the issue of, this is how I personally will do nonviolence within myself, within my family, and within my community. So we're looking for ideas, like John mentioned, and then make it grow. If you are a sports league and you believe in nonviolence, what John just said is you will, in the beginning, talk about nonviolence as an issue, and not the word nonviolence, but peace. I have to change my language as well. Talk about peace in our breaks, talk about peace, and just make it accessible, make it the norm. And I really feel that that experiment will work. In addition to some of the other things. And before we wrap up today, we have a couple more things to talk about. One is, Zachary, I would love for you to just talk a little bit about the power of meditation. We'll get to that. And then how we invite people, more people to the circle and how they can support what it is we're talking about now. But can you talk a little bit about how we intend to use meditation as one of our tools in this peaceful toolbox?
Well, the Buddha, the enlightened one, said all suffering comes from an agitated mind. If you think about it, there's nothing that you can think of that's that causes human pain beyond an agitated mind. Because it's the mind, what happens in the mind precedes how we interact with the world. Now, we just happen to be fortunate enough to live here in Wisconsin, where there was groundbreaking research done at the University of Wisconsin using the latest, most advanced brain scanning equipment in existence at the time. We know that we can literally change the circuits in the brain. If you teach people how to calm down and meditate on a regular basis, the structure of the brain itself changes. And once the structure changes, the behavior changes. And the way people react to the world changes. Now, we're all, as you just said, Jacqueline, we're all gonna disagree. I've been knowing you for 3 decades. And there are times when we do vigorously disagree. But I ain't gonna pick up no pistol and hit you upside the head with a pistol, because I've learned to control my responses. And I love you as a person. I wouldn't want to ever do anything to hurt you mentally or physically. And that's what'll come out of our training, is the people that go through that training will respond differently. They'll still have the same challenges they had the day before, but how they react to them will be altogether different.
That's really a great point. And going back to our original conversation about disagreement or not, different viewpoints, worldview. I sit on committees and boards. You know, I've limited my time with those things, but I'm still the same spicy individual I've been all of my life. I do not, I mean, the core, but everything I do is out of my passion and love for my community, my family, myself. So I'm excited about what it's not going to be, you know, peaches and cream going down this road. This is good, hard work. And with good, hard work takes time, and it also takes resources. Zachary is a volunteer. John is a teacher working in his country in a small village, is a volunteer. Reverend Gene is a volunteer, has his own ministry in Madison. Myself, I'm a business owner, community activist, and volunteer on this project, but it's gonna take some resources, and we cannot kid ourselves that this is all gonna be done by 4 individuals. First of all, we need those of you who are on the live stream with us or who will watch this later to join us. We need your opinions, we need your time, we need your talents, and we also need your treasure. So with that being said, Zach will tell us about some ways you can financially help us move forward in some of the things we're trying to do with the project. I will be doing my best on the fundraising side for this project, but we cannot think that a small group of volunteers like ourselves, right now it's 4 of us, and we have partners, is going to be able to do this without resources. That is just unrealistic. So Zach, tell us how people can support us, whether time, talent, or treasure.
Well, time and energy in many cases is considered at the same as money. So anyone who wants to contribute anything, if it's just reading a story to small children involved in this group when their parents are going through the healing circle, anything anyone can do to assist us would be deeply appreciated. Bring your opinions, bring your talents and skills, but most of all, bring good hearts full of love and the willingness to serve. The other thing you can do, if you're so inclined, we have a PayPal account. It's listed on the Healing America Heals Facebook page, which is our outreach on Facebook. That's our presence on Facebook. There is a tagged poster that links to PayPal. Now you can contribute $5 to whatever you can spare. Everything, anything will help. We need resources to help us do our outreach and get equipment to keep these broadcasts going. We need everything. It's just like Jacqueline said, we're just starting up. Everything an organization needs, we need. None of us are going to put that money in our pockets. None of us will take a salary. Everything that you contribute will go directly to the program. So please, PayPal will take $1. I know it'll take $1. And $1 may make a difference in a person's life, living or dying. What you spend on a Big Mac could make a difference in saving a life or saving someone from a debilitating injury. So please be generous with your time and your talents and whatever resources you can spare without creating hardship for yourself would be deeply appreciated.
Thank you, Zach. The other things that we're doing, just so you guys know, around resource raising, besides hoping that those of you who are on the live stream or joining us later would do as Zachary said, give us your time and your talents, do something out of love for yourself and for your community. But also we need resources to keep going. So we will be setting up a GoFundMe page. We're working on that now. It's in the works. We will be collaborating on grants, a couple of grants. Zachary mentioned one of them. Community Connections is actually a neighborhood leadership grant funded with the various foundations in the community. And they give a very small grant to leaders who are usually volunteer leaders in their neighborhood to do something they feel is important to build cohesiveness in communities and in neighborhoods and in families. So we are going to be writing for funds for that program. It'll probably launch it next year because of the timing, but we're also going to be doing other things. I expect, Zachary mentioned the brick building, which I manage on 27th and Fond du Lac. We'll be doing some activities there before the year is out. We're working on that. And I own a vacant lot on 15th and Walnut. I'll expect to be doing some activities there this fall. So keep connected with us, stay in touch with us, connect with Zachary, contact him, talk to John. He's in Uganda, but he'll answer, he's on Facebook. He answers questions, friend him. Ask him about the Good Shepherd School and the goals they have going on there. Connect with Zachary. Ask him about some of the innovative things that he also have in mind. But stay with us, because this is something that I know and we know can make a big difference in the lives of not only ourselves, but our friends, neighbors, families, and communities. So Zach, do you want to close us out? Or John, do you have anything to add?
I only say thank you so much to everyone who has watched us. We'll go watch this video. And I need to assure whoever who is willing to join us that we are using tested and approved approach towards peace establishment. We are not trying out things as if we are in a laboratory, but we are using tested and approved approach from different people that have worked it out. So there we are. I just thank you. Thank everyone. Thank the organizers. Thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you, Zaki, for organizing this and dedicating your time and everything to have this done. It is now, and history will judge us.
So one thing that we haven't mentioned at this point is starting this Wednesday night, we're going to do a video post. It'll probably only be 10 or 15 minutes. We'll update the community on our latest activities from the prior week. So you can keep an eye out for that. And if you like the America Heals Facebook page, you'll automatically receive the video posting every week. That's something to look forward to. It's just a brief 10 or 15 minute update on the things that'll be going on. That's how we're going to keep folks in touch. If you aren't able to attend our open meetings that we try to have every other week, we'll probably be having them every other week from this point. So that's the last thing. That's the only thing that we hadn't covered yet.
Oh, and the YouTube page, you want to say anything about that? The YouTube channel?
The Living Experiment in Nonviolence does have a YouTube channel. All you have to do is do a search for the Living Experiment in Nonviolence. The page will come right up. We have about a half dozen videos that give all the background and the research that's gone into underlying what we're trying to do here. We're working in a framework that's been thought out and based on people that had way more sense than we got. You know, we're taking some of the teaching from the great minds of the 20th century and applying those to the formidable challenges we're facing here in the 21st century. So you should go and visit. We have a wonderful 15-minute video about the Good Shepherd Academy, about the Good Shepherd Primary School. That's one of our most interesting videos on the YouTube page. You can learn all about John, and you can actually see his school and take a look at it, see where they're at. They're going to be it's changing quickly. And we'll be adding videos as we go along. So
yes. Thank you, Zachary. We're going to end this video, but we don't like to end, first of all, without leaving out of love and peace to everyone who's watching. And if you don't do anything else today, or when you see this particular broadcast, go to that YouTube page and like it, subscribe to it. And the next thing we're asking you to do is internalize how you approach peace, not out of love and nonviolence in your own practices, in your own personal practices. And what are you going to do today to grant that to other people? And then again, on behalf of myself, John Sentamu in Uganda, Zachary Johnson, the founder and creator of all of this conversation we're having today, that you join us and participate in whatever way you feel you can. And with that, I think we're going to end, gentlemen, correct?
We just want to thank everyone that joins us. God bless you. God bless America, and God bless Uganda.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.